got your attention now, don't I?
This is the Black Rifle Coffee Podcast. Prepare to get caffeinated.
Ooh, man. Welcome to the Black Rifle Coffee Podcast. I think this is like our third, fourth, fifth, 500. I don't even know at this point. There's a lot of episodes. We've changed from Free Range American to Black Rifle Coffee Podcast for those of you guys that don't know. We still have it. It's just, it's on different dates. So, yeah. Great to have you here for the first time, John Dudley, which is, no, it's not the first time. That's not true. Yeah, we did a couple in Big Sky.
We did one at the ranch.
Yeah, we've done multiple. Never mind. Like the fourth time. This is your second time.
He made a big impact on you.
Yeah.
On those earlier podcasts, and you vividly remember them.
Yeah, that's why you text and said, "Can Jocko come on the podcast?" I'm like, "Well, I'm driving him." So, and you're just like, "Well, do you know how to record?" And I said, "Yes."
Yeah. I was like, "Where's Jocko?" He's like, "I am driving him. And this is where we're going." So congrats. Congrats, gentlemen, on your elk.
Yeah,
it's kind of, it's not complete technically. After this podcast, now I have to drive to Montana to take Andy, which will be awesome.
Andy Stumpf, the CEO of Black Rifle Coffee Company. File all your HR complaints. Yeah.
Former Admiral.
Former Admiral. Mm-hmm. File all your HR complaints to Andy Stumpf. He takes all those. So just so everybody knows. And,
it would be funny if you actually had a list of complaints and then gave it to Andy to like get his response to all of them live. That would be an awesome podcast.
Andy would just be like, "I don't fucking care." That's exactly what he would do.
Go F yourself. Mm-hmm. Like that would be Andy's.
So 3 years of hunting, Jocko, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
How many elk down?
3.
3 years.
1 the first year, none the second year, and 2 this year.
Oh, that's impressive.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
It was freaking really awesome. It's cool to see how much he learns every time. Because, we were talking about that today. You were talking about, like, with jiu-jitsu. I asked you, I guess to backtrack, I asked you, does Dean Lister still teach you things? And you're like, every day, every single day. And you were trying to, just talk about how in jiu-jitsu, there's like 2 moving parts that have infinite movement. And depending on the combination and how it goes, like if you have someone that's a good coach, they identify like every little thing that you could have done different. And he said, it's not totally like that with archery, and which I totally agreed to. But I said, isn't it like that with bow hunting though? Because obviously the conditions, like Mother Nature, and then like how that animal reacts in every species and every situation, depending on if it's pre-rut, rut, post-rut, the conditions of like whether it's quiet or windy or, I just said, that's why when I'm behind him, we always talk about things that you could slightly do different. And it's not because he hasn't been taught it all. It's because it's continually changing, and like the chessboard moves all the time, and you just kind of have to have experiences to know kind of what your best counter move is. And it's not always right, no matter how long you've done it.
Mm-hmm. A lot to learn.
Well, how many elk do you think that you have killed so far?
I don't know. It's probably 2 to 3 year average.
For 20 years?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. So you've shot a few.
And then obviously like being with people, like, being able to be with, Andy or Jocko, or like one year I tagged out early, went out with Rogan. I think it was a few years I did that. And, just obviously Barclow, Andy.
Yeah.
Been able to do a lot of hunts with those people. And obviously you watch stuff, the more you can watch stuff develop from afar and not necessarily like right in the moment, it's almost like a better way to learn, because you're, kind of like some of the stuff you talk about, you're looking at it from an elevated position. So you're really able to kind of take it all in, especially when you don't have the adrenaline of being the one that's doing it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I could see that. I could see my 5 days in Colorado. Every year, I think I've been able to learn a lot every day, depending on the date and the time. But, this year was really interesting. There's a lot to learn. The diverse terrain, wind was like, I had wind check on me and it was in my left hand pretty much the entire time, moving through a lot of those little cuts and draws and a lot of those pinyon trees, like, because it would shift and it would start to swirl, and it was like, and it would pivot literally on a second.
Flash.
1 second, you're like, it's in favor. Next second, you're made. And then you've got cows everywhere. You've got, raghorns and cows and everything. And you're like, dude, I'm putting in a perfect stock. And what was it's one of the guys was saying, it's like, you can beat their eyes, you can beat their ears, but you'll never beat their nose.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I told you that freaking 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we, Jocko, we kind of had an evening where we knew nothing major was going to happen. We were actually on our way out, but there was a bull bugling, but it was not
too dark to shoot.
Yeah,
actually.
it was too dark to shoot. So I just said, like, hey, you take point and pretend, like make out like you're the one that's going to be running this hunt. And so he kind of he's just like, all right, just like goes out in front, and he's just like 7 yards ahead of me in about a second. And I just grabbed him and I said, what's the first thing you can think about? Because immediately he went the wrong way.
Why?
I just went right to cover and started moving cover to cover towards the bull.
Right.
Which is like obviously what you do against a human.
Yeah.
But this wasn't a human. So
he went right when our wind was at our back pushing right. So it's like you kind of, you're the first thing you should think about is what's the wind doing, just like you said, and then you've got to flank depending on the wind.
Mm-hmm.
But like when he took off, is 3 steps away. I'm like, okay, well, you just put the wind more at your back. Like if anything, you got to make a plan of attack that's different. So I just said, number one, always wind. Like you have to do wind first. Then it's like the path that's going to allow you cover and the least amount of noise. And so he, like right away, he realized like, yeah, 100%. But obviously that wasn't something you had to factor in prior.
It's really strange to me because I spent a full day looking for the bull that I shot, and putting in the stocks on the elk. There's like zero tolerance. Like you can't make any mistakes. But if I'm just walking around, they'll just like come up and
they don't care.
They'll like lick my hat, and they know, like somehow they know the hunt's over by my body language, whatever it is. But I mean, there were a couple times when I was sitting there going, dude, get out of my way. Like I'm trying to find the one that I shot. Will you please move? Because you're impeding my view and you stink. So please move.
Yeah, it's like that all the time. You walk around on someone's ranch and, deer just look at you and they're walking around. But if you grab a bow, they're just like, I've seen this before.
I've seen my buddy's heart explode when that person has something like this. Said heart exploder.
It was funny on that day where it was super windy. We were all in very different areas, but like I get a text from you first that said like, what's my hold at 50? And I said, in this wind, I probably wouldn't shoot past like 40, and here's what it's going to be. And then like I put my phone back in my pocket and I'm like starting to walk, and then it's like, zzz, and I like look at it and it's Jocko like, hey, 40 yards, what's my hold?
Well, I shot too. I was like, you know what? I got 5 arrows. I gotta check to see what this thing is.
Did you shoot at one of the practice targets? See?
No, I just was like, I'm gonna have to sacrifice one of these arrows to the gods because I need to see what this wind is gonna do to it. Because I was like, all right, full value. I don't know. I mean, I don't know because I was looking at the grain. I was trying to do the math on it. I'm like, I just need to check. So there wasn't anything around. It was about exactly what you said. It was like 8 inches.
Mm-hmm.
So there's 8 inches of drift off. It was like 48 yards, and there was 8 inches of drift off a 400 grain arrow.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it was, it was gusting. So it was like, it was like, 12 to 20. I'm like, so I was like, well, when it gusts up to what I think is the greatest mile per hour wind, and I pull the trigger on it, at least I know if it's going to drift to 8 inches at 48 or whatever it was.
I feel like it was more wind than that.
Well, I was just not caring about any of that. I'm like, won't be able to hold my bow up straight. With the wind, where I was, the wind was just hauling and gusting. And so I was no shooting.
Well, the next night when we talked about it, I think you said didn't I say I wouldn't shoot at 50 right now? And then you just said, well, damn, if he's not going to do it, I don't even need to know the math.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It was gnarly.
Yeah, because the problem is when your arrow's laying sideways like that, even if you have pretty good front of center to where you're going to be on point, when your momentum's turned to the side, it's not going to drive that broadhead through because you don't have the weight directly behind it. That's kind of why you don't want an arrow that's doing this through the air, other than the fact that can't hit anything. But yeah, if it's laid to the side, it just kind of hits and slaps, and it's not good. But honestly, a lot of people shooting at just archery events like tack. And there's certainly times where you can see the arrows kind of a little bit sideways in the targets on some of those longer shots. People don't relate it to the fact of if that was trying to force a broadhead through something, it's not going to penetrate the same. So it's just, it's not an ethical shot. It's a shot that's just a lob really at that point.
Well, I can see that. I was definitely not going to shoot outside of the 40. I was like, were you outside of that, dude? I can't have 10 inches of drift and be able to dope that and figure out past 40. And this isn't going to work. So it's what's the size of a heart, an elk heart from top to bottom? 8 inches, give or take. Let's say. Probably. But I was like, if I can at least hold inside the size of the heart, but outside of 40, that's blown out. So if I have 8 inches of drift, I'm like, great, I'll hold left side and figure out what the drift's going to be. But outside of that, I can't shoot past 40.
Were you in Colorado at the same time last year?
The exact same time last year.
And how different was year one versus year two, even though the dates were technically the same?
They were almost identical.
Were they?
Yeah, there was a little bit colder, but the elk started turning on later, towards the end of the week. I hunted the same area last year. It was the same exact scenario. Oh, dead, DED, dead. I was that first day. I was like, "Hey, man, can you help me bugle? Because I want to hear what it sounds like." And I just want to hear for my own justification, which I thought it's beautiful, especially when you can hear your friend bugle. It's really beautiful.
Andy's awesome at it, by the way.
But no, we weren't hearing anything. Day two, I made a move on a bigger bull that he was at least he would answer randomly, so I could kind of pinpoint where he was. Made a move on him, but he was buried in these little aspen saplings, basically, that were I was 15 yards away from him, and there wasn't going to be a shot even within 15 because there's so many aspens between me and him. It just wasn't gonna happen. I put in all the right work. I worked the wind to my favor, did everything I could, and there was no shot window, not even close. I had to have been within spearing range for that to be an acceptable stock. And then with that many cows, there was just no chance. I don't want to say no chance. Maybe for somebody like you could probably make a move on him.
Don't point at me. Yeah, I'm not.
He was talking to me.
Okay.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
So if you had a spear, would you have been able to close that last 15 yards, you think?
Here we go.
I'm talking with not to throw, but to like run and stab. Yeah.
No, those cows, if the wind wouldn't have shifted on me, and that was one of those scenarios where I could have made maybe another 5 yards on him, maybe another 5, because I was going really slow to the point.
Was it bedded?
Yeah. So he was bedded, the cows were bedded, and he was just laying there like, murr, like, I'm not getting up there. I got all my cows down here, So he's bedded, 15 yards, cows everywhere. I thought he was going to be by himself because I hadn't seen a bull with any cows yet. I was like, he's just laying down there being lazy. Go down there and kill him. That was my mentality. But he had a bunch of cows. Wind shifted just a little bit, and those little cow.
It's a problem when the noses are spread out for 30 yards each way of what you're wanting. It's like if it was just the bull and that swirl happens, sometimes if it changes too fast, he might not get it.
Right.
But when there's like noses setting up a perimeter, then you're freaking screwed.
What I think is like fascinating, which I would love to get your perspective on, because watching them set up their area is so interesting to me, because it reminds me of patrol-based activities where you're sending your cow up in to the 12 o'clock, right? So she goes on the far end, and then you got another cow, like sometimes two of them will show up, right? Just like, I'm sending my 2 guys out. They're going to set up my 12 o'clock position first. Then I'm going to start kicking out my clock positions, and that's exactly what they do. Send out their couple cows first, get their 12 o'clock, go to the far side, sit there, look. What is it? SEALs? You remember that shit?
Yeah.
Silence.
Because it was SIL.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's like,
something,
be quiet, like listen. Basically.
Silence something, listen, and then something else.
Intel?
Yeah.
Huh?
Intel? What would the I be?
I forget.
But basically, you shut up, you remain quiet, and you listen and look for an extended period of time just to make sure that nothing's happening. They do the same thing.
Yeah.
They sit there, they pretend to eat for a while, but really they're just like looking around.
Yeah, they do the whole.
And then, they do the, I'm eating, don't worry. Oh, and then jump back.
Yeah, another similarity is like the first cow or maybe the first 2 cows are point men.
Yeah.
And they're straight up looking around. But then you get back to the 15th cow or the 20th cow, and they're just humping.
Chowing
they're just like looking at the feet in front of them, just like a patrol.
Yeah.
You look at that guy that's a 17th man in a patrol. He's just looking at his feet, doesn't even know where he is.
Private Snuffy, pumping the saw, just like
whatever.
Yeah. But it's super interesting, because then if you look at their perimeters are pretty good.
Pretty squared away.
I was looking at the same bulls or the same elk that you were looking at on the side of the hill.
Okay.
And I was checking their perimeter that night, and they had a cow, if we're looking, because we're both facing in the same direction, in the cardinal directions, but they had a cow positioned down. Actually, it was a spike way down on the hill. Then they had a cow on the far left side of the little spur, and then down in there's a little draw on the right side, and they had another cow out there. And then they had all the elk in the center of it, so they had eyes everywhere. And then the bull was working all of it.
Yeah, does whatever he wants. Because he knows it's
patrol-based activities. It's like...
Yeah. And when you can think about it and be like, whoa, that's amazing. But you can also be like, well, that's what other way is there to do it?
Yeah.
It's kind of common sense. Like, why would you? Of course, you're going to have a point man up front. Of course, you're going to put 360 security out.
Right.
Even if you're a damn elk, you're going to do that.
Of course. I thought about how the guys from maybe, Rogers Rangers and some of those guys, because all those guys were outdoorsmen and hunters, and they would watch animals all the time.
Yeah,
and they had to get really close because they, their weapons were inaccurate. They were experts at stalking and killing animals to eat. And I kept thinking about how I wonder if these guys picked up on what the animals were doing, in herds, and they adopted some of that to their tactics that they were using. I couldn't help but think about that, like. How interesting would it be if these guys were looking at those guys going, man, that's a good way to do it.
Yeah,
should probably do it that way, right?
Yeah. But even if you thought about it for 15 minutes, you'd be like, okay, we need to do this, right? Or you could observe elk for some period of time and come to that conclusion.
I think it would be a combination.
Could be a combination.
I think it's got, because you think about the evolution of guerrilla tactics. I mean, patrol-based activities was not something that was utilized in the conventional warfare landscape. You know, it's not like the British were using patrol-based activities.
Yeah.
It's relatively new. I don't want to say we invented it. I'm just saying, like, you know, in the context of the Revolutionary War, with all these guys that were actually, the French and Indian Wars would have been the genesis of that.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, but even if you were looking at a totally, like even a siege warfare, like if you're going to be in a position, you're going to set up security and you're going to put interlocking fields of fire. And even if you only have archers or spearmen, that's what you're going to do.
Let's get back to this spear thing, because this has actually been some of my best entertainment for the last couple of days. Because
you guys want to spear something?
Well, so to go back, Jocko, he actually made a good shot on his elk, but it
actually, I like how he said he actually made a good shot on his elk.
Because we had to,
as opposed to an outstanding shot.
Yeah,
that's what I normally make.
Yeah, he did everything right. The elk was quartering away, but it was kind of looking towards him, so he wasn't going to draw while it could, while its eye was looking at him. So he kind of waited till its head was swinging, away, and so he didn't have like straight on visual of the elk's eye. So he drew back at that time, and then when you're going through the process of making a good shot, you're kind of hyper focused on like your exact, when they say pick a spot, you're like hyper focused on the pick your spot. But what happened was the elk wasn't just turning his head away. He was like turning to lead away. So when the shot broke, instead of him just doing this, he did this. But with an elk, a quarter of a stride is still 2 feet or a foot. Literally the movement of picking their leg up and starting to go. I mean, it's twice the stride that I have walking. So he hit him a little far back, and we went that night and we found him, and it was just obvious we were either going to chase him around in the dark, which isn't, if you don't recover him, it's not ethical. So we made the decision, hey, let's back out. And part of that decision was where he went and bedded down. It was like thicker than any shot you've ever seen at the tack. Like we had to be on the ground on our knees in order to see where he had like laid in these, I call them cedars. Are they pinions?
Yeah, I think there's a combination of cedars and pinions out there.
But it like he was laying there, and a couple times it was like rack would like go all the way to the side, and we get back in the truck, and Jocko's like not happy that we made the decision that we need to leave him. Obviously, he knew it was what was right, correct, but you kind of thought like
it was right. It was right only due to the fact that I didn't have a sword or a spear, because that would have been the right decision.
So you might as well tell people what you told me when you got in the.
Well, I just said if I had a sword or a spear, I would have gone for it. And I'm not kidding. Like he was in a hurt way, and if I had a sword and I could have gotten up there, I would have gone for it. And just like 100%, let's do this. That's what I think.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Like,
I mean, you give me a sword and that thing it's already, this thing is on its last legs. It's hurting bad.
Yeah.
And, just go for it. Just try and get one there. It's a high risk evolution. I'm not saying I'm not going to catch a wartime in the face or throat. Mm-hmm. And you might be tracking Jocko blood wherever when he drags me away, like stuck to his rack.
Yeah, because you've got 12 freaking samurai swords, dude. Yeah. With, no offense, 10 times your power behind him.
Yeah. Oh, it's a risky move, but at that point, I think it's the thing to do.
No risk, no reward.
Yeah.
That's what it.
I think a spear, not to throw, but just like a sharp spear that you can just stick into.
I think that'd be good.
But what would be hard about that is that would have to be, you'd have to put like an actual blade. Because I don't think you'd be able to get a spear through their.
No.
I don't think you have the power to do it. You have to get a blade.
Yeah, like almost like a really sharp dagger point, or like a fencing sword, but with a rigid.
Yeah.
It'd be That's what I would try to use, like
I
a
would
really
try to
long
use a
needle
spear
stick.
Yeah, I would try to use a spear that had a blade, like a stiletto blade.
Yeah,
a
perfect.
stiletto blade that was like 2 feet long,
like a
on the end of a spear.
V42 dagger blade
Yes,
that's
yes.
2 foot long that
on
you
top
could.
of a 7 or 10 foot wooden shaft.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going with.
Okay.
And I think I could have pulled it off.
We agree on the type of spear that you
Yep.
need to kill an elk, which I think is important, and it's probably never been discussed.
Yeah, I think I would have gotten it done.
Yeah.
This boils down to just the fact that you two haven't seen what those suckers can do. There's just no way.
I know they killed
That
a man
thing
last
would've-
year.
Did they?
This is not.
Yeah.
don't
What
get
did he
me wrong.
say or do to him?
No, he shot it and went up to it like too soon and it killed him.
This is not a lack of respect for elk power and strength at all. I'm saying if you get that situation, this thing is wounded, it's hurt, it's kind of out of it. And I think you could get close enough where you could get in there.
I'm not disagreeing with you getting in there. I'm 100% agreeing with you're not getting out of there. Like, I know you talk a lot about like ego check right now. You don't realize that freaking Brahma bull with 12 samurai swords on his head, even if he has 10% life, he's
let
still.
me ask you this. Do they do the elephant thing where, elephants, when they kill you, they like put you in the ground and grind you? Would they do that? How would it
dude.
kill me? What would it be? Just
I
like
would say
lucky
both
shot
of his
type thing, or
fronts
would
are
he
gonna-
be killing me?
Yeah, both of those fronts are going to be through each side of your shoulders, and then he's just going to power drive you like until he's out of gas.
Okay, so that's what I want to know. Like the elephants, when they kill you, they like kill you and smear you. It seems like in my mind, an elk would like hit you and
run off.
like hit you and you'd fall down. You have a big hole in your ribs, and then you just kind of get it back together.
Yeah.
But he's running away. He doesn't want none.
He doesn't want any.
That's what I think. And I'm going with it. You better have your video camera if this goes down.
Oh my God. Yeah.
I think that's next year's elk hunt. Jocko spears an elk,
Dude.
right?
Well, Beto said he wanted to do it, or he's going to try and do it.
Yeah, I'm sure. Hey, there's people that have done it.
There you go.
They
So
have
we're not
done
even.
it.
This isn't even hypothetical, bro.
How
They're-
did
but-
they do it? Did they come out of a tree stand?
Yeah, they would either drop it on
Yeah.
them or throw it at them, but
Right.
they're not like when they're wounded.
Combat.
Yeah, when they're wounded, they're not going in like.
I think
I
the
didn't say
challenge
that.
should
I was going
be
tactical. I'd go quiet.
challenge should
You're-
be
You're not quiet. You're
Jocko
280
broadswords and elk. You
I don't know
know,
if
More
broadsword-
people would want to see him do it without either weapon.
without a broadsword
That's a
or spear,
non-starter.
just a
Like
just
I don't
hands.
think you could. I don't think a human could kill an elk without a weapon at all. Like I don't think that's happening.
Yeah,
Those things
There'd
are
have to
freaking
be-
strong, and yeah, I don't think.
how are you going to do that?
Let's say
And
you've
I'm
had
very
to.
specific. It's a mortally wounded animal.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but then they're more likely to stand ground. From the wounded animals I've encountered,
yeah,
and I've
encountered a lot of them.
Yeah, and I've tried to like just hold down something small like a antelope or like a mule deer,
Mhm.
and they get busy.
Oh, I'll tell you, I have a 120-pound German Shepherd, and like I wrestle with him and try and get him under control, and it's nearly impossible to control a 120-pound dog. So a freaking 800-pound elk ain't happening. That thing would crush me.
This kind of ties into another thing you told me one time that was purely nonsense. I remember like one of the first times we met, we were talking about like a plane going down, and you said, I actually feel like if a plane was crashing, I think I could survive it. You said you would tear the seat you would tear the seat up and throw it to break the water surface and then dive in behind it once the water surface was broken.
It's 100%. Like I am, there's some woman from, I forget where she's from, but
Have
she's,
I ever told you that one? No,
there's some woman that survived a plane, a commercial airplane. That's what we're talking about. A commercial jet disintegrates in thin air for what? I mean, it blows up in the sky, right? And everyone dies. I just know that I would figure out a way to make it happen and live. I know you'd be over there dying. I'd just be over here living.
Yeah.
But that happened to a girl.
I
forget where it was.
And like Jocko's still looking for a
girl
seat
was
right
like
now.
11 or 14 years old or something. And that happened. Plane blows up in the sky for whatever reason. Everybody dies except for her.
Yeah, well, guess what? I was in a tree stand one time. It was 22 feet in the air. The peg broke and Sharon fell 20 feet onto her back. And it was just, and in that moment, I thought I'm watching my wife either die or be paralyzed.
Oh, for sure.
And she literally hit the ground and it was like nothing.
Yeah. So maybe your wife and I would both survive this situation because she knows how to fall too.
The difference is she's not a freaking gorilla, dude. This is physics coming into play right now. It's no different than an arrow. If you go out with a 200 grain arrow and shoot a freaking elk, it's going to bounce off. If you shoot a 500 grain arrow, it's going in just like yours did. And so, bro, like, you're not going to skiff off the water surface.
I got this, dude. You got the wrong mentality.
I have had this conversation with so many people, and the amount of just arrogance associated with the people that we know. That Matt and I were flying back from Alaska, and we both had the same conversation. Like, if that pilot dies in his chair, like, both of us were like, we could land this bitch.
Yeah.
We just had that conversation.
We had that conversation too, because I'm like, of course. And actually, we were just flying and we're like looking at the controls, and Dub's like, hey, we got this.
Yeah.
If our pilot dies. And by the way, that was pretty likely judging on the dude that was flying.
Solid.
There wasn't a whole hell of, this guy had 3 to 6 months left.
Yeah.
So we're flying. But here's the thing. So I always think that, and I think really the difference between landing a jumbo jet or a Cessna or whatever, I mean, it's all kind of the same principles, right? Pull the thing in, it goes up, push it forward, it goes down.
I got
There's a throttle thing over there.
Yeah.
Like you can land one, you can land the other, right? No factor. But I've got a friend named Dave Burke who works with me at my consulting company. And he's a former Marine fighter pilot, F-18 pilot,
Right.
Top Gun instructor, Top Gun senior instructor. He can fly the F-18, the F-16, the F-22, the F-35, and he's the first operational commander of the F-35 squadron. And he said he couldn't land a Cessna because he's never done it before and he doesn't know the controls. I mean, what a loser, right? Seriously. I just looked at him. I'm not going to say anything, but I'm saying you're kind of a loser.
No.
And I said, well, I could. And he was like, no, you couldn't. So we have this constant debate, but I still have high level of confidence that should my whatever aircraft, space shuttle, jumbo jet, I'll jump in the seat, figure it out, probably take me, I don't know, 3 minutes, 6 minutes, something like that. Get figured out.
Yeah.
Hit a couple switches.
Right.
We're good to go.
We're good to go.
No factor at all.
So easy.
And then I just land it, jump out with a sword, and slay an elk. What do you want?
Yeah. I actually think we're going to create this in cartoon or animation form, which is like Jocko takes over the cockpit and lands a jumbo jet, jumps out with a broadsword, and then cuts an elk in half.
Yeah,
well, that broadsword thing is the unrealistic part because nowadays with TSA and stuff, you can't carry broadswords anymore, which is just, I mean, we're getting super paranoid.
Private jumbo jet.
You could.
Okay. I'm on the Led Zeppelin jumbo jet. We're touring.
You and Led Zeppelin?
Well, yeah, because they probably would want me for backup guitar or lead guitar. Jimmy Page.
Either one.
Old.
Yeah.
Actually, and I know if I check some YouTube videos for like 2 weeks, I'd probably be good to go on that too.
Yeah.
While we're at it.
Let's just add that to the skill set.
Yeah, we had this dude that was like loading our stuff in the plane and then came up like 4 steps. And then, have you ever heard that original Adam Sandler CD that he did?
Yeah. Years ago.
What was the one that the Weezer where he's like, remember that one? I forget what it was, but that's kind of like what he sounded like trying to freaking tell us what to do. And Jocko's like, dude, we might have to land this sucker. So we were kind of paying attention. And the only hurdle that we really came across was we made the determination neither one of us would fit in the captain's chair. I'm like, dude.
Small plane.
Yeah, I can probably run the pedals from the back seat.
Nice.
But it was pretty easy. Like it was...
you know what? I just thought of this because I know you're friends with Mike Glover from Field Crash Survival, and we could just check with him, and I could probably do a couple courses on landing jumbo jets, defending yourself from elk. I could do a whole series. That'd
I think it'd be
good.
fine. Yeah, it'd be like you and Mike. Actually, you know what? The next time you guys come to town, I'm just gonna have a simulator set up. You can't practice,
dude. I went to a simulator.
And all I'm gonna do is be like, hey. Get in the simulator and land the jet. The pilot's dead. Let's see what you got. Let's see if you can do it.
That'd be pretty cool.
I did the Harrier jet simulator out at Yuma.
Those are easy. They're like helicopters.
Oh, I crashed that thing. I would last like 7 seconds. The time it took me to crash, that was the time it took for that thing to get to the ground. That's how long it took me to crash. So all these assessments I'm making are on top of the fact that only time I've ever flown a flight simulator realistically, I probably crashed 10 times in 5 minutes. And I was like, you know what? Of course.
Right.
I just said, this thing's not very accurate. This thing doesn't really work that well.
I mean, it can't really capture the accuracy. Yeah. It's just a simulator.
Yeah.
I think the best option, just so everyone didn't think you were speaking nonsense, I think he should just say, I would just bounce. Because that would be the most realistic things that people would be like, yeah, Jocko would just freaking bounce. Like when Hulk came out of that freaking thing in Avengers.
When I was a new guy, and actually this was not even a new guy, this is like my first 3 platoons. If you put your feet on the fast rope, you were weak.
Yeah.
And which is cool, but I was a radio man.
Right.
And so I had an extra 40 pounds. And I would just come out, no feet on the fast rope, and just burn in every time. I was 100%. When I grabbed that fast rope and went out, I was 100% going to hit the deck at 75 miles an hour and just fall. And it wasn't until I got, I went to the East Coast. went to a different team. And all the guys started going, they're all putting the feet in the ropes. And I was like, what are you guys doing? It's taking really long. And they're like, well, we don't want to crash and burn every time we get off. So then I realized that, you can do that. But
is that why your feet are so flat from all?
I don't know what it's from. I think that's from my mutant parents.
Have you seen his feet?
I haven't taken a really detailed look.
I'm wondering.
I mean, I understand he has
everyone
feet.
who believes that Bigfoot exists didn't just see where Jocko is training up on the Northwest Coast.
Footprints in the snow.
Yeah, because it's as flat as that paper flipped out right there. They are so flat.
I like how the community will come up with weird tests of masculinity or whatever it is, where it's like, don't put your feet on the rope. And it's like, why? Why did we ever do that? Because I remember that too. It's like, oh, okay, bro.
Yep.
Hey, man, you want to sit down and go pee too? Is that what we're doing here now? Is that what we're doing?
Yeah. Doing 90-foot fast rope with no feet on the rope. It is you have a radio on. Yeah,
I was a comms guy too.
I would just
exactly
hit the ground.
feeling. Yeah,
I remember I had this awesome guy teaching us CQC as a SEAL. In fact, one time I asked one of the SEALs that I had the most respect for ever, I said, who's the most badass SEAL you ever knew? And he was just like, dog. He's talking about this guy.
Right.
But this guy he'd be teaching us, we'd be out doing VBSS, so fast roping on the ships. And he'd be observing as we came in. And every time we'd start the clearance and he'd walk over to me hey man, are you all right? Every time he'd see me just hit the deck. And he'd come over, he's like, are you okay, man? I'd be like, good to go. I'd just, keep looking down my weapon. Good to go. No factor. Yep. Good man test.
Yeah.
Good man test.
Have you ever had any substantial injuries?
Nope.
Wow.
Nope.
Have you ever broken a bone?
Nope.
Oh,
elbow.
That's incredible.
I got, I hurt my elbow pretty bad doing jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
I hurt my ankle one time doing jiu-jitsu. I hurt my knee one time surfing. Those are probably the 3. Oh, I had neck surgery because I had problems or whatever.
Right.
If you want to know what Jocko can't do, for those listening, he can't freaking knee curl. I can tell you that.
Oh yeah.
We had an elk talking and and literally said, let's crawl up to
First
that
of all,
tree.
what
It was
knee
10
crawl?
yards.
It's not knee crawl. It's
What's knee
it's
crawling?
walking on your knees.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, okay. What do you mean? Yeah, is that something you're just familiar with? I mean,
No, I mean I get it.
okay.
Like
I thought you were
you're just
saying,
walking
like-
on your knees.
Yeah, so
You're
we're
staying
he's calling it
low,
knee
but
crawl.
instead of
Why wouldn't you call it
crawling-
knee walk?
Yeah.
First of all,
Yeah.
you're crawling.
Knee walk.
When you say crawl, that's 4 freaking libs, bro.
Yeah.
So let's call it knee walk.
I think what I said was, let's just go over. We had to go 10 yards. I said, let's get to that tree on our knees. And so he took like 2 knee walk movements, then decided to go down on all 4s. And he's like trying to do it. And I can tell so I like tap him and I go, just freaking sit up and walk on your knees. And so he like, it was the most awkward thing. And finally I just picked him up and I just said, screw it. Let's just go over there. And the elk ran off. And then he told me like,
yeah. So like I spent a lot of time like on the mat and like, so my knees are just, what did I say they were? They're just like soft, right? They're soft.
yeah.
Yeah. So my knees are soft. So so we're going to call, there's branches. I'm just like, this is horrible. I'm going to get whatever kind of hard covered knee pads you can get.
Cries.
I need
We'll
to get
fit in
those
there.
because that was just not
Did you have
cool.
the Sitka knee pads?
Yeah,
in
I
there?
had them in.
Oh, okay.
But and if it wasn't for those, I would have just turned around and put a freaking arrow right in Dudley. Just been like knee crawl this.
Knee crawl this.
But
Arrow in your head.
yeah.
Yeah, the cry pads are nice.
Yeah. I mean, even those Sitka ones,
They're
just
nice.
having knee pads.
Yeah.
But you want to talk about like man tests. I remember when guys first started wearing knee pads.
Right.
And I was like,
No, we do the same
just
thing.
like yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
Or when guys first did it, it was like you're like the machine gunner, right? And you could wear them on one knee, not both knees.
Yeah, that's right.
You
Yeah.
could wear them on one knee.
You wear that. Yep. You wear that knee pad on the one knee.
And you were the
Yep.
machine gunner.
Yep.
I was like, dude, I'm carrying like 2 radios and like 20 fucking batteries. Like, I'm carrying way more weight than this fucking dude with a machine gun. And it's like, can I get one of those?
No.
No.
Big negative.
Yeah. It's like,
Yeah.
you can. You can
you
get
only
one of
asked
those
one.
if you want to go to the 82nd.
Yeah.
You want to go to the 82nd? Sounds like you want to go there and be a soldier there. Sounds good. Right rifleman,
Yeah.
snuffy.
Then the first time I wore knee pads, before I was just like, I don't know what I did. I think I hurt my knee or something. And then you go to knee pads and you're like, this is amazing.
Amazing.
Especially rocks and
Dude.
cactus.
Do you remember those
Yes.
Arc'teryx knee pads when they?
Yes, I do. The first pairs I got was like Rector skateboarding knee pads.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, this
Yeah.
is what we're doing. This is what we're doing.
Yeah.
Once I tried them, I
Oh,
was like, oh, this is
it's
freaking
luxurious.
Till you got to
Yeah.
sit back on your legs for a while, and those
Yeah.
straps just
Yeah.
freaking put your whole leg asleep.
I like that though.
Did you know with Black Rifle Coffee's Coffee Club subscription, you can get fresh coffee shipped to you every month? What? You don't even have to go to the store. Whoa. You don't even have to leave your bed. What? Wow. How did you get in here?
You might want to go ahead and join the Black Rifle Coffee Club subscription before one of these guys shows up at your place.
But the
dead
deal
leg.
now is all these tactical pants that have them embedded in there are
Yeah.
awesome.
Well, I used to think that all the time because we, still have a bunch of those pants that were free,
Mhm.
but I don't use them for hunting. But I'm like, man, these things are way comfortable. I should be using these. But I also am like,
What were the first legit ones?
the first legit ones that came out were the Cry pants. The first
Cries?
super legit. Before that, the precursor to the Cries that were semi-cool were the 511 pants. You remember those?
Yeah.
They had like the cargo pockets. Then those turned into like just douchebag pants. Like just to be, point blank, everybody was like, oh, look at that guy with the 511 pants and the big pockets. Like what do you do? So,
I'm down with big pockets,
but the
so.
Cry pants, when they first came out, and they've continued to get better with those embedded knee pads, like, man, those were luxurious. It was like going from a beat up old Mazda Miata to like a Cadillac.
Yeah.
I was like, man, this is nice.
Dude,
Yeah.
those Miatas. Those are right up there with those Fieros.
I don't
Remember
know.
the Fiero?
That was a good one.
Pontiac
Or the
Fiero.
Fiat.
Yeah.
Good old
That was-
Didn't the
Fiat.
Fieros like blow up? There's like
yeah,
a
there
time,
was some kind of a problem with them too.
How?
Yeah.
They seem so safe.
Yeah, I remember like some of them like had issues, and I remember as a kid, like when one would roll by, I'd just freaking jump in a hedge bush. Like if I was on the sidewalk, I'm like that baby's going up.
What was Jocko's? What was your first car?
Oh yeah.
So this is kind of embarrassing to say because not for the reason you're going to think. So I bought a 1969 International Harvester Scout, which was
Amazing.
freaking legit.
Yeah. Amazing.
And it wasn't running when I got it. And like I bought it for, who knows, maybe $300 or something like this. And 150 that bucks was to get it towed to like my house.
Solid.
Probably 6 months later, it got towed away. It was just like, just
Junk.
Yeah. So there you go. It sounds cool. Cool beginning of the story.
Yeah.
Sad ending of the story. But I always had a good place in my heart ever since then for International Harvester. And my buddy had a Travel-All, which was like
Yeah.
a suburban version,
Yeah.
like a long one.
That
Man,
thing
those are
that thing
freaking
was
legit.
awesome. But was the first one that actually that would run?
I think it was a Bronco. I think it was
Yeah.
like a 1986
Like one of those little
Bronco.
Bronco 2s?
Yeah,
or
it was
like
a
the full
Bronco
size?
2. It was a Bronco 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it was like, gas mileage or whatever. So,
I could see that.
yeah.
Good old Bronco 2, you know?
Good old Bronco 2.
How about you, Dud?
He looked like Hightower trying to get in that sucker. Did you rip the front seat out and sit in the back, drive that sucker?
Those things were small. It was surprisingly small.
Yeah.
It was silver. It was two-tone.
Mm.
Silver on the top area and like a dark blue on the bottom area. Pimpin'.
My first one was a Mazda B2200 SE5. Little single cab Mazda truck, a
I like
white
that.
one with like some
That's
kind of
nice.
like brown and blue pinstripe like down the side. And I thought I'd trick it out. I put a taco tip on it that I got at Walmart. So the
What's a taco tip?
like those shiny muffler things that you would put on the end of your muffler.
Yeah.
and
That's
screw 'em in.
that adds a lot of horsepower.
So I like put that. So I
makes
put
a
that on
difference.
there, and then
Was that just to get like women? I mean, what was that? That's a gold
mainly-
move right there.
mainly
that was
chicks.
just a poon magnet.
Yeah, and then
How did you deal with all the women that would approach you when they saw that
You
tip
put
on your
them in the
muffler?
bed. You put them in the bed.
well, yeah, you'd have to have a bed in a truck like that just to
That's
put them all in.
Now it
Yeah.
all makes sense.
that's why I got the single cab because you had more room in the bed.
Yeah. Single cab long box.
But I built a freaking sub box to go behind that back seat.
Yeah,
I
you
took
did.
a quarter pipe apart and freaking like made this totally airproof freaking box to have two 8-inch subs to like vibrate your back. Yeah, it
that's
was
nice.
pretty sweet though.
Evan, first ride?
1961 Chevy Impala.
Oh,
Three on the
dang.
tree.
Jeez, dude.
White with red interior.
Freaking balling from the get go. We should
Where
have
did you
known.
get that?
I bought it from, there was a dude on the Native American Indian reservation. Just like,
Was it in good shape?
no,
Oh, okay.
it was in horrible shape.
So it was just a.
I set the entire interior on fire, me and my buddies, when we were smoking reefer, and we were cruising around shooting bottle rockets out the windows. And
God, that
somehow
needs to be a
we got
cartoon.
so high that the spark had gotten in the seats underneath it. Well, the seats were already completely deteriorated. The foam was falling apart. And
Damn, if you would have kept that ride and not burned
yeah.
it.
Well, it didn't burn it all the way down.
Oh, okay.
I stopped at a payphone and called my dad, and this is how like high I was, right? Where I called him, like my car is burning, and I called my dad on the payphone. I'm like, I don't know where this fire is, man, but this thing is burning up. I think I don't know. So my dad drives down, and I remember to this day the look on his face. It said everything. It
My
said
son is an idiot.
he is a legitimate moron. Like his car is on fire. And I'm just standing there I'm like, I don't know, man. And then the two other guys that are there, my two other friends, Nat and Trevor, that we were all kind of like, we hung out every day, right? And all of us were like, we don't know where all the smoke is coming from. My dad just went in, like pulled back the seat cover and was like, are you guys...
Hi.
Yeah. He didn't know that I participated in those types of things, right? He had no idea. He was just assuming that we were just dumbass teenagers, nor did my dad have any experience or context with those things. So it was really easy to hide. It didn't happen very often. So I think it also amplified the effect because it didn't happen very often. But then that car turned into like a 1971 VW Bug with no floorboards. I had wood on the bottom to keep your feet from falling through.
Dang.
Really good stuff. It taught me a lot about the internal combustion engine those 2 years. It was great.
My second vehicle, I lit on fire on the inside.
Really?
Yeah, it was a Ford with that middle fold down like seat.
Ford what?
It was a Ford F-150.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But it had that middle fold down seat. You know how it kind of had those
with the cup holders, right?
Yeah, the bracket came up. So when it folded down, there was like a space, between there. And I had the first spotlight I ever got to shine deer and look at deer at night was that Q-beam. Do you remember that old original Q-beam spotlight? Mm-hmm. It was probably this big around and about that thick. And so I used to just slide it in between that so it wasn't falling all over the place. So I actually took that truck. I was probably I think I was just started shooting professionally. And I took that truck and I had ordered a Ram, the first Cummins that came out, 97 or something, when that new Cummins came out. And I'd ordered one. And so I was driving this truck. We had already done the deal, but they said, just drive the truck till we locate the truck you want. So I went out spotlighting that night and I was shining some stuff. And then I stuffed that thing underneath the seat and it slid the switch on. And so I ended up going home, and luckily I came back into the garage to get something out of my truck. And when I opened the window, it was just pure black smoke just bellowing out. And I got it all cleared up and then flipped that seat up, and it had just burned a hole all the way through. And so obviously I'm this sucks because they're not going to be down with that on this trade-in. So I just made sure that seat was flipped down when I did the trade.
Really good.
And they
ethical. Super ethical job.
I mean, not saying an 18-year-old's the most integratable out there, but yeah, it was
apparently not this one over here. Remind me not to buy any cars from you.
Yeah.
I don't think I burned any. Well, we had one, but it doesn't really count because it wasn't mine. It's the bad guys, Right. So my breacher went to open the trunk with a lock popper charge, and he had gas in the back, an extra tank of gas, and there was a lot of fire on that one. And then it almost started the neighborhood on fire and stuff, but got under control. The guys got under control,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't have any other car burning stories that I know of. I would have to really search to think. I've blown a few up, but not in juvenile delinquency, only in my adult delinquency, typically.
Isn't it weird to get paid to blow cars up though, and kind of really cool?
Yeah.
And then we went through this phase where we would steal the cars.
Yeah.
Which was good. We had a whole protocol. We'd have rigger's tape to tape out the lights and black out the lights and everything, and just roll off target. Yep, we got a new surveillance vehicle.
Yeah.
Got a new Opel.
Yeah. Yeah, we had a fleet of vans and Corollas, and it was great. It was okay, looks good to me.
Got the keys. You hear the call.
Yeah. I remember that was a very, very specific feeling during the invasion, where I was man, this reminds me of some of my childhood, because it seems like I'm hot wiring this truck and it's a lot of fun, but I'm not really stealing it because nobody can arrest me.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm just going to hot wire this big cement truck and drive it through that wall over there. It seems like a good idea.
You're probably going to get written up for.
I might even get an award. Yeah, for this.
This is an ARCOM.
Yeah, at least
for sure.
Yeah, I mean,
with bold initiative, he hot wired the cement truck and drove it through that wall.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing what you do get paid for.
It's amazing when work aligns with fun.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's basically been my entire adult life.
Oh, it's so ridiculous.
That is a very true statement.
Yeah.
It's
been a lot of fun.
You do anything where you don't make it fun. Have
You've never seen me do
anything that I make
spreadsheets.
fun? No, I make everything miserable.
Yeah, exactly.
The difference between the officer and the enlisted. We make it fun. They take away the fun. Hey, looks like you guys are having too much fun. Why don't you go ahead and tighten it back up? Let's make this
There'll
miserable,
be no
fellas.
fun of any kind.
Yeah. How long have you been out? What year did you get out?
2010.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
it's been quite a way.
What about
It's
you?
been 15. And then what year did you get in? How many years did you do?
90, 20. I did 20 years, yep.
Yeah. Right on the nose and then.
God, when I told Tim Kennedy I went in 1990, he was looking at me like I was the oldest human he'd ever talked
Really?
to. He was like, 1990?
He doesn't even know what year that is.
Yeah.
He's like, what?
Like, what?
Yeah.
Kind of crazy.
I was 95. I wasn't that far behind you. Like I was
You were 95?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was only 5 years. Like, did you graduate from high school in 89 then?
Yep.
Okay. So you're the same age. My sister is that same age, 89. I remember those big hair music days, man.
Yeah. I hate that kind of music too.
Do you really?
Yeah,
Did
I
you
hate
listen to it
no.
when you were?
No, I hated it.
What did
then.
you listen to when you were in high
I
school?
listened to hardcore. I listened to metal. I listened to punk rock. That's what I listened to.
Like what though?
Like
what was your
Poison.
go-to?
Warrant.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Snake, White
I actually
Snake.
hate all that music, and I pretty much hate those people. I think Dudley might be the exception of people that like that kind
Right?
of crap.
Leif's on board.
Did you ever put hairspray in? There's a question.
No.
Okay.
Did you ever have,
I'll
you
tell
had
you.
a mullet. There's no doubt in my mind that you had a mullet. You had like a Kentucky waterfall that
No,
might have
dude, he
been
had a
permed.
Tony Hawk haircut, right?
Yeah, I was all bangs, like 3 feet of bangs that would shape into a mohawk.
Okay.
I'll tell you what I did do with hairspray. I lit my house on fire.
Yeah, that's right. You have a good
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
over here talking chump change, burning down cars.
Yeah.
Burn his
You
fucking
set your
house down.
on fire.
Yeah. Aquanet was freaking the best. I wasn't in the military, so I just had Aquanet and a lighter, and I'd freaking just torch everything that came close to that can until it was gone. And then my mom's like, she'd always blame my sister for like using all the hairspray. It's like,
She
little did you
noticed
know,
the
I almost
burn
burnt the
marks.
house down
Yeah.
40 times today.
Right.
Bands?
Yeah. What was your go-to? Like
My favorite band of all time is Black Sabbath.
Okay.
You know, my top bands are like Black Sabbath, Led Zeppelin, Motorhead, AC/DC, and then I liked all the hardcore bands, East Coast hardcore primarily, Bad Brains, Minor Threat, Cro-Mags, Agnostic Front, and I went to 10 million shows of that nature when I was a kid.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yeah. That seems about
Which were
accurate.
also good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could mix in a little
Well, did you,
GNR.
so do you like Ozzy? Do you like,
Ozzy is fine,
Yeah.
but compared to Black Sabbath, I mean, Ozzy to me is more like hair metal, right? They're
Mhm.
just regular
Okay,
Ozzy
right.
with Randy Rhoads and all that.
Mhm.
I mean, it's not horrible. I probably only do that because I'm such a fan of Black Sabbath
right,
that I'm kind of like, well, it is Ozzy or whatever.
right.
But no, I don't think I even own an Ozzy album but I own every Black Sabbath album in multiple forms. And
What
Yeah.
about Black Label Society?
you know, I have listened to them and they seem like a good band,
Yeah.
but I'm not like a huge fan.
Right,
Yeah, I really got into like harder music when I was a kid. So
right. But then what happened as you transitioned out of like high school and the
I
military?
didn't transition. Like
you
I
never
like,
transitioned.
No, I still
You
listen to the
just keep
same
listening to the same.
stuff, and occasionally I'll listen to a new band.
Right.
Dude, he has the same T-shirt
I
on.
have the same
since-
T-shirt. I do the same stuff. I'm just like a really boring human from that perspective. But it's really, you know, that music, that time frame in the 80s, that scene was really cool, and
Yeah.
the music was great.
Yeah.
And it's everything kind of has been a little bit downhill from there. But there's still good bands. I mean, Pantera, I like Pantera.
Yeah.
You know, there's some good bands out there. I listen to like some death metal, but even that, I don't like the growl too much. You know, when you hear like the real like the Norwegian death metal,
Mm-hmm.
which was an interesting scene. Speaking of burning things down, yeah, there was like a Norwegian death metal band. They call it this worse or more hard than death metal. It's called black metal.
Yeah. I've seen
And
that.
there was this group, a band that burned down these ancient churches in Norway, like set them on fire. It was, and then one of them ended up killing the other one and cannibalizing the heart or something. Yeah. They're getting
As you
after it.
do. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's your Norwegian death metal, and they're Norway, right?
Right.
You're kind of like, I've never been to Norway, but every picture I've ever seen of Norway leads me to want to, like, I don't know, maybe be outside and build a snowman. I don't know. So it seems like a really nice place to live.
Yeah.
Let me put it that way.
Right.
I don't know how you end up doing Norwegian death metal from Norway.
Yeah, I don't know. It's always led me to want to like knit a sweater,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
like milk a goat.
And there's great there are some of these bands that are great coming out of there. There's a band called Opeth, which I really like a lot. But it is strange that you can get these. I guess it's proof that, you know, humans are warlike in nature, and even if you're in a very nice looking place, you might still have the tendency to want to fight and
burn it down,
kill and arson and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So even in nice places, people still are attracted to arson.
Yeah.
Is that the message?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Am I
agree
wrong?
with that. No, I think you're right.
Look at this guy.
People
You're
like
starting
fire.
fires. You're starting fires.
I still like to start fires. They're fun.
Yeah. I mean, how, you know, you guys make videos, right? How often are you like, hey guys, I don't want any gas on this bomb over here. I just want it to be just an explosion. Don't remove the gas.
Yeah, guys, let's keep it safe.
Yeah.
Let's
You've done that 0 times.
Right. Never. I've never actually said that.
Have you ever
Like,
said like, hey, how many gallons do you think you can get over there?
I always say, I've lived life in that context for P for plenty and more. So how much do we have? 50 gallons?
Yeah.
Why don't we have 100?
Yeah.
Is there a reason?
You see what
Can
I'm
we
saying?
prime this?
Exactly.
Is there a way that we can prime this with an accelerant? Can we make this even better?
I had a guy who, when I was running training and we'd do these big scenarios, you know, and this freaking awesome team guy, he would spend 2 days out on target setting up this just explosive drama. And he'd come out and he'd have all these things ready for me because I'd get out to the target before the platoons would hit it. And he'd be like, all right, this is what I got going on, boss. One time he goes, this one up here is called Pool of Lava. I go, explain. And he had gotten freaking tinfoil, like industrial tinfoil, and had rolled it down this mountain. And then he had this like built napalm thing where when this thing blowed up, it would tilt this thing over. And then once it got tilted over, it pour lava down this tinfoil thing and set it on fire. Oh yeah. He would put like rings and just massive explosions. Like, where I'd be like, I'd get like shockwave, and I'd go, bro, what was the minimum safe distance on that? He goes, I'm pretty sure we're good. I'd be like, oh my, yeah. So he would do so many smoke grenades. He would have them all lined around the target. What do you call it? Oh yeah, it was called Fog of War. I'd be like, go Fog of War at this time. He'd be like on it, and then all of a sudden, and there'd be probably no less than probably 50 to 75 HC smoke grenades.
yeah.
Like, dude, these things put out so much smoke. No one's getting out of there, bro. You can't see anything for like, you gotta wait. If there's like no wind, you're just sitting there for like, call it 12 minutes of just sitting there looking at smoke.
Just like
Fog of War. Oh yeah, and then there's just big booms. So Fog of War going, then there'd just be massive explosions where I have no idea what the safe distance was, but I guarantee you it was marginal. So yeah, fire, right?
Yeah.
Fire. Sure, you can use it to cook with, but you can also use it for fun.
Yeah. It is very fun. It can be very fun. One of the best things I found in training that we utilized was those bird bombs. They're 12 gauge bird bombs. They're for scaring off geese. Have you guys ever seen these? It's basically an M80 that you can shoot out of a 12 gauge.
Oh, that's cool.
It's amazing.
Can you still get them?
Oh yeah, because farmers get them to scare off geese, and so they whistle. Well, we used them as RPG simulators because they'll fly out and they'll go boom, right? And we could bounce them off walls inside
out of the barrel, then blow.
Yeah,
with the report.
Yeah,
damn,
they're epic. And they are so good for training, and they are so much fun because I would have like an entire village, and like all the roofs were taken off, so it's just a big concrete multi-level, building, and then I'd have this
shooting gallery.
I had a big tower that was another 2 stories above everybody else, and I would rain. Like I would open up the boxes, just have them open. I would be working on my speed reloads, just raining hell on students with these 12 gauge bird bombs. It would blow their fucking pants off. So if I could hit them right, and I got so good with this, I could bounce them off a wall because it would speed down the velocity. You don't want to hit somebody with them because they're like they'd hurt like a motherfucker. But you bounce them off a wall, and you try to get them to explode like right on the pants or something because you blow their fucking pants off, and it was awesome. You just like the bottoms of their BDUs would just be like shredded from me just fucking annihilating them from the catwalk, for a lack of a better term. It's an amazing training aid. Loud music, lots of smoke.
Oh yeah,
we need
and
to get
explosives.
that built into an arrow for like clearing a food plot. Like when you instead of, because I'd be like, okay, is it worse that they see me coming out and then they build an association of a human coming out of that thing and then they don't want to come back? Or does like lightning strike and just empty this freaking field so I can bail out?
Yeah, lightning strikes. I think that's what you do. You could absolutely do that. The other question I had was, is it illegal to hunt at night?
it is.
Wait, are you stopping
Hold on.
there? Yeah,
Oh.
okay.
Depending on the animal, it's not, right? So
Correct.
archery
Hogs.
though.
Hogs.
Archery, axis. So
Mm,
my idea in this, okay, it's a
why? Maybe not. I don't know.
it's a peck for our bow.
Mm-hmm.
So we run NVGs.
Mm-hmm.
We look at, distance, and all that is, I mean, really you're just fluctuating the elevation. So you're rotating for 60 or 80 or whatever the hell it is.
on the laser.
On the laser,
Yep.
it just has to adjust with the yardage, which should be relatively easy
Yeah,
to set that up.
done it on
But
hogs.
now,
For hogs, yeah.
Yeah.
Done that.
now we can run NVGs and do archery night vision, which I think would be fucking awesome.
The hard thing with it, I mean, I've tested all this. The hard thing is like bow torque with a laser is like pretty significant. So like once you go over a certain distance, you have to be so flawless for like torque. Like with a rifle,
So
you're
this would
not
be like something for me,
Yeah.
Yeah, freaking
Right.
Watch your
Gorilla
neighbors if old freaking gorilla twister over here just has
Gorilla
a laser on his bow. Good God. No, but I think for certain things, yeah, it'd be awesome. Yeah, it'd be fun to do.
Right?
I've done it on hogs, but
It'd be fun. I kept thinking about that. Like I kept thinking about, I really want to shoot these elk because it's dark and I know that they're only like 30 yards away from me and I can't because I can't really see them. And I would love to be able to see them with my NVGs. I was like, can we shoot these at night? And then I realized that we probably couldn't. But
I'm so glad that I'm the one that's like helping teach all you guys archery because
Could you spear them at
I
night?
mean,
though?
you see the calluses on my hands. This is from pulling the reins back on you and stuff. Like Jocko's actually pretty good because he's just like, give me orders and I'll do it. Andy, on the other hand, like the whole time, like my heels are just pushing back on the stirrups, toes up. I'm freaking just pulling back on his teeth, and he's just asking me why. That's dumb if we can't. And I'm just like, dude.
can I shoot this in the face? No, Andy. It's not going to go. No, come on. Why not? Yeah. Like I could see that.
Honestly, I need to do a video on like archery or bow hunting 101 ethics. And
And guest speakers, Andy Stone. Andy's the best, dude. Like that's the kind of guy. Like when you're in the teams, if you're not giving him good guidance, man, watch out because it's gonna come back. And that's exactly who you want. Someone that's going as hard as they can, and if you let them go, like watch out.
That's what I call, and I've realized later in life there's a word for that. It's called entrepreneurial.
Mm,
You get some guys out there that are really entrepreneurial.
Yeah.
Guys like Andy, Mike Glover.
Yeah.
Like I can imagine those guys were really great at times and really horrible at times, just like this guy. It's a very binary management problem with me. Like I hate you and I love you at the same time. It's like you told me we needed forklifts. I got the forklifts. Did I have to bring the entire Patagonia cold weather supply from the Air Force with those forklifts? No, but I did, you know?
Hey,
Is it on
here's
video?
your puffy jacket.
I don't know. I was wearing a ski mask.
Here's your puffy jacket. Please be quiet. In Baghdad, we were on like a little bit outside the main base. And so milk, those cartons of, what is it? Goat milk, like pasteurized little boxes of milk. But I used to drink, protein with that. But you can only get it from the big galley. So whatever. And I was like at work and I was getting ready for doing some con ops or something. And my LPO and a couple guys were like, hey, sir, we're going to the chow hall. You want us to get anything? I was like, dude, just bring me back some milk, will you? And they're like, yep, cool. Freaking hour and a half later, they roll in. They literally have a pallet of freaking milk for me. I'm like, thanks, guys. We're good. The milk that they got me lasted me for 6 months of a deployment. That's how much milk they brought back for me. So cool.
Commander's intent.
Yeah, Commander's intent. They got me some milk.
Yeah.
Got milk was the joke.
Good.
Yes, we do. We got plenty of milk. So yeah,
Well,
that's what you got to hope for.
yeah. Now I wish I had more entrepreneurial guys, because really it's way better to try to pull people back than it is to push them forward. It's way better.
99% of the time.
That's a pretty good
1%
99. Yeah, the 1%.
You're not Johnny on the spot,
Yeah.
Next thing you know, Andy Stump's walking back into camp with like a severed head of a freaking horse or something. He's like on the saddle of it, whatever,
Right.
You do a pretty good job at getting those people, though. I told you that the other day. I said, you're really good about like, if you see someone that's that type of person, you grab them, even if you don't know where you're going to put them to use yet.
Do it all the time. Love it.
You freaking grab it.
Mm-hmm.
Like if all hell broke loose and we had to just hunker into Black Rifle HQ, you would have you would literally have an ecosystem of people that have specialties and things where it's just like, wait a minute, how are they still surviving over there? And you'd have someone with a gift in like every type of trait that you need.
Fred built the hydroponics freaking grow factory in the back. We're good. We got wheat.
We got it all. I've said that multiple times. If this thing goes completely pear-shaped as like, civilization, we're going to be able to transition to kinetic operations within 24 hours. And they're actually probably going to be more successful. We'll take over the entire Utah Valley within probably 72 hours. It'll be, we know all the police. We know all the military. We are the police in the military. Like it's just going to, turn the switches. Here we go. Looks like we're back to our old ways, And now the ROE's even better. It's like, I'm not listening to idiots for it anymore. I've never understood those, never understood them. I've disagreed with them multiple times. Well, it's totally side conversation, but you guys, it's great to see you.
Hell yeah.
It really is.
Yeah, man.
This was freaking awesome.
That was a pretty legit couple weeks
September
right
is
here.
like, I said, it sucks. Why is September only 30 days? Gosh.
I don't know. I want it to be longer. I think next year, I'm just going to black out.
You guys are about 10 years behind.
2 weeks. 2 weeks in September. Just black it all out. Just
I
be
already
it's gone.
blacked out the whole month.
Yeah, it's gone. I think next year it's completely gone. Like it's just, I'm not going to do anything else. That's all
August
I'm going to do.
15 to October 1st. It's just like,
That's the good plan. Right?
luck.
That's the good
Good
plan.
luck getting me.
Yeah.
I mean, some people are like, well, this is really important. I'm like, cool. I'll deal with it on October 2nd because I need 1 day to sleep. I went full narco. Like when Jocko shot his bull, I just went full narcoleptic and just like my body realized
You're done?
Well, it realized I have from now until next Saturday when I take Andy to like do, and also and just like boom.
just out.
Like mid talking to someone.
Solid.
Yeah, we're talking to the guide. Dud's in the back seat. I'm in the front seat. And the guide's like talking, and Dud's like, "Yeah, no, that seems like a good idea." And the guy's, "Oh, well, what do you think of this, Dud?" He's out, dude. He's out. Narco out,
dude.
Yeah, I almost killed myself in the freaking bathtub last night. I was you know how the we smell like piss right now, like elk piss right now.
guess
I
I'm
think
great.
it's Jocko.
I know it is me.
Yeah.
My
It is
hands are
Jocko.
just gnarly, and I've got this belt on, which is 100% covered in elk piss and blood. So,
Actually, our guide like sprayed the elk piss on us.
yeah, he was.
Why?
It was a
elk
weird
piss.
tactic. We had to spray down with cover scent.
Yeah.
Or for like scent neutralizer.
After you had already.
No, this is why we were stalking.
Yeah, like spray us down with like baking soda. But then he would spray to check the wind with elk urine, and it would just blow back in me and Jocko's face. I'm just like, damn.
I thought he was spraying you after you were done.
No,
That would be even a better joke.
That would've been
Like, hey guys,
cool.
I'm going to spray you guys down with some milk urine.
This is an ancient Indian ritual. Like when we get done, we like to bathe in elk piss. So go ahead and come on over here.
Well, Jocko we shot that bull, like 8 o'clock probably.
Yep.
And by the time we were done with pack out, it's 3 o'clock, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, I was pretty shot, but I thought I'm not flying back home to Sharon like this. So I just got in the bathtub and just like squeezed like half a bottle of shampoo in there and just like soaked in there for a while. And then I'm like, when all the bubbles finally dissolved, like it looked like this table in there, dude. It looked like an elk wallow. And I just thought, dang. So I drained the bathtub and like sprayed out all the freaking grime in there and then filled it up again. And then woke up like 3 hours later in a cold bath, just almost dead. I was blowing bubbles.
Oh, yeah.
With the water. But
Well, next one is Texas, right? That we agreed
that's
on
right.
this.
Yeah.
Peter.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Peter agreed. Everybody agreed.
Yeah.
So we're,
Down with
It'll
it.
be fun.
yeah, it'll be a great time.
It'll be
popular.
fun.
Mm-hmm.
Cool, dude.
All right, cool.
Right on.
Thanks, guys.
That concludes today's training. Any questions?